Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. And if you're new here, you couldn't possibly know that I am on a mission to give you everything you could possibly need if you are looking to be more successful in your business, providing, of course, what you need to be more successful in your business is to know more about and be implementing more effectively, efficiently, and enthusiastically sales and marketing in your business, which is, of course, what you need if you're going to be more successful. You need more customers more profitably, and eventually everything you need to do that will be here on this channel. So now might be a really good time to like, share, subscribe, and comment, get involved, because that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic journey. So what goes on is I'm here on a Monday giving you everything I know about sales and marketing as part of the What the series. On a Tuesday, I bring in anyone I can find with experience of sales and marketing to share with you if you are looking to be more successful. Every other Wednesday, Melanie Farmer comes through. We look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what it might mean for you and your business. And on the other Wednesday, I review so you don't have to. On Thursdays, I will very shortly be sitting here thinking out loud. And on a Friday, we react to the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet. So if you still haven't, now would be the second best time to like, share, subscribe, and comment, because we need some motivation. Today, if you're watching this live, is a Wednesday. It's that Wednesday in the month that Melanie Farmer, the concierge of co-creation at Crazy Might Work, comes along and we look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what it might mean for you in your life, in your career, in your business. Good afternoon, Melanie Farmer.
Hi, how you doing?
I am fair to middling is what we say in English.
There you go.
What do you say in Australia? You say buck up, don't you, if someone's fair to middling?
Which doesn't mean fine at all.
Okay, cool. So we start with a boast. Do you have a boast?
Oh yeah, I went to see Dave Chappelle last night, who is a comedian. Most people would know of Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
What was interesting was there was 19, I don't know if this is a boast, but there was 19,000 people in the stadium, and we were not allowed phones, which is the nature of live comedy. No phones, no recording devices, all that, which meant nobody could tweet, no one could like, subscribe, and so forth. So I just thought it was really interesting. And the second thing about that was that we consumed a whole concert without one phone being visible. So it was a really weird experience, like going back in time before we had mobile phones. 19,000 people and no one holding a phone up is a really weird, unsettling thing in a fantastically good way. There you go. That's what I did.
Yeah, that is weird because I think I've got a theory. I think the 90s was the last good. I think the internet killed music, like distribution. The 90s was the last good decade for music. And then I think mobile phones killed live performance. So, yeah, that's what I think. And good. I'm glad that Dave Chappelle is. So, how do they police that? You have to hand your phones in on the way in, or you're just not allowed to take them, or you're not allowed to get them out?
No. You a screen did you come in? You're given I think it's called a Nonda pouch or whatever, and you have to you're given a pouch, which is like a material thing, and you've got to put your phone in it. Then they lock that. You can't use it. And if
Ah,
you need to use it, you have to leave the stadium and go to the special unlocking station and have your phone call or whatever you need to do there.
wow.
So you're allowed to bring your phone, but you can't use it at
Oh.
the stadium. Once you've gone into the arena, you're unable to use it.
What a
And
mission that they have to go to, like the ends they have to go to prevent people from using them, but they have to lock them away. What if it's in the bag and it starts ringing? You have to turn it off before you put it in, do you?
well, you will be encouraged to leave the stadium, but yes, you're meant to turn it to silent or off before you. But of course, someone may not do that, but they'll be asked to leave. And if anyone is caught using their phone who hasn't declared it, they'll just be immediately ejected and not allowed back in with no discussion. And the
Good.
reason being that, a comedian who's going on a world tour doesn't really want someone recording their jokes, and then posting them, because that's the end of their world tour, isn't it? Because you've like heard the jokes.
Hmm.
So they have to be like that with that kind of event. Bit different if you're going to see, let's say, Radiohead, because people, unless it's a new album, and even then it's not the same as going in person. But in terms of a comedian, yeah. So it was
Yeah.
a lot of staff involved and whatever, but we just left our phones at home. That was so freeing. Highly encouraged to do that anyway. Like it was just, I enjoyed the concert more than any I've been to. Just no phone. So good.
And that
Freedom.
counts as a boast in 2023. I went out without my phone. It's like
No
perfectly
phone.
valid.
I did not
Good,
suffer from anxiety at all. It was great.
good, excellent. Okay, I don't have a boast. I don't think I've achieved anything in the last 2 weeks. I really feel like that. I suppose if there's a boast, I'm like hectic. I've got loads of stuff to do. So that must mean I'm going to get busy, maybe making some money soon. So that's good. Maybe that's my boast. All right, good. Well, we're not here just to boast. We're here really to look at the marketing news. We're going to get on a mission to see if we can dispatch these stories in 10 minutes each. So I'm actually going to put a clock. I'm referring to my mobile phone to put a clock on these so we will know when we've been speaking for 10 minutes. So I need a new timer
More than
plus
enough time per story,
10. It's more
honestly.
than enough time. I mean, my stories are particularly uninspiring, I have to say, this week. So let's hope yours are more inspiring.
Oh, I'm pumped now, Martin. Uninspiring stories. Let's do it.
Yeah, no news is good news. Is that what they say? It doesn't seem to me like it's been a busy news couple of weeks. So maybe that's good. Okay, so what has caught your attention in the way of marketing news?
Yeah, TikTok have updated their community guidelines, and
Okay,
so that is resulting in a slightly stronger enforcement system,
okay,
really to protect minors, to protect the vulnerable. So that's interesting move from TikTok. Instagram has just there's a story on Instagram about they had started to head towards video content, and there's been a bit of a backlash. So they've done a U-turn and gone
okay,
back to images because I think they were just trying to become a bit more like TikTok, who are, of course, the video platform of choice.
okay, cool.
Right. And then my third story is just about sort of what we're doing here, which is the power of infotainment and how a Singapore company made $3 million in 2 minutes or something because they got it together to understand that their information channel was going to do better if they applied an entertainment factor to what they were doing. So
Wow.
there's some tips from them about how to make a lot of cash through your panel or, you know, um, live streams.
Okay, cool.
Live
Excellent.
streams, anyway, yeah.
Excellent. I'm interested in that. My stories are something about the Google algorithm and how they're downgrading news stories. So, news service providers are doing less well than they were this time last year, or most of them are. And then my other story is about the resurgence of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. So it seems like they might be on their way back. I don't think that's a good news story. You know, I'm not a fan of Facebook, but we've spoken 50 times about how bad they're doing. I thought it was only fair that if they are making a resurgence, then we should talk about that as well. So those are my two not particularly inspiring stories. But let's see if yours are more inspiring. So what's going on? So your first story is this thing about that's not that one. This one. Supporting creators. Right, maybe I should move us
TikTok.
down here, and then we can see what this is about. Okay, so TikTok supporting creators with an updated account enforcement system. What's going on? Why is this
Yeah.
interesting?
So,
Look,
what
I'm starting the
really what
clock.
they're trying, oh, start the top. Oh, they're trying to reduce abusive behaviour, anything that might be considered as sexual harassment on the platform, anything like that, and they're not wanting to post anything that is um, basically things like how to end your life, hateful ideology, which is potentially a subjective thing, but anything about violent extremism, posting any violence, um, and any inappropriate content in that regard. So what's interesting is if you click on that blue link, community guidelines, you start to see what a little bit more like what their new guidelines actually look like. And I was going to take you to mine didn't take me there, um, but like I'm looking at it now, and they're just getting a bit stricter about, for example, impersonating and fake accounts and so forth, anything misleading, illegal activities related to goods, drugs, weapons, that sort of thing. And then they will actually give you warnings. So you do get a warning, and then you get deleted and permanently so. Saying that, I guess it's pretty easy to set up a new account, but I think it's a good thing. You know that there's a bit of it's very clear and transparent what they're doing, and it's very firm in terms of the consequences. It's
Yes.
still going to be who decides what is, how can you defend X, Y, Z. But you see, their minor safety is really, it's some level of responsibility around this stuff, and saying that if you do this, you actually can get banned. So, I mean, it's one thing banning Trump, but wouldn't it be nice if we start banning people who are posting videos of nude children doing things? It's just, I'm pleased to see that they are taking that seriously enough to make a statement about it, make a change.
Yeah, and I am as well because I tell you what I'm well because we last time we spoke spoke about Facebook Meta doing a similar thing, but that's on the back of they've been in business for like 14 years and they were sued, like we were talking at the back end of last year about how they were sued in Ireland for giving away the data referring to children, a million children or something. Have TikTok ever been sued for anything?
No, not that I know of. People may have tried, but I think what I like is it's slightly alarming that it has to be done. I would have thought this would be, before we launch, let's get this part right. But I guess in another way, do you really expect that you're going to have to do this? So sadly, yes, you do. But I like that it's a little bit more brutal. Like you're out, and that's it.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, I think there's a time and a place for that, and this is it. I don't want anyone being able to post stuff like this and carrying on having an account. It's not appropriate. So yeah, I mean, here, do
Yeah,
not
and I
do
think
it. Stop.
yes, and I think
Any more
especially
warning? No.
yeah, I think especially if these are marketing platforms, like if people are using these platforms, like this is a marketing channel, to promote their products and services, then they shouldn't be profiting from the abuse of children or crimes against children or anything to do with children. They shouldn't be profiting from. They were fined 5.4 million for online tracking shortcomings in France at the beginning
Oh
of
yeah,
or middle of last month.
yeah.
Um, but the thing I like about this is that we haven't heard. So with Meta or Facebook or the existing platforms, it typically goes they get busted doing something really horrible that involves children or something, and then 2 months later, oh no, we're going to tidy up our act. Whereas I'm not aware of TikTok having been in any trouble for this. And here they are saying, look, this is the way we want people to behave on our platform. And why not? You know what I mean? Why not? The other thing that it kind of indicates is that it is possible. So, for example, like historically, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, no, it's just too difficult. It's too difficult. Well, I think what Elon Musk is doing at Twitter is kind of demonstrating that there's nothing too difficult. Where there's a will, there's a way. And TikTok doing the same thing. So there's no excuse. Oh, I'm sorry. There's pictures of children being abused on our platform. What can we do? Do something about it, or shut down the platform. Do you know what I mean? Set your priorities is what I say. So good. I think this is really
Yeah,
encouraging from TikTok.
and I think what I like is the specific, like, it's easy to say like we don't encourage violence, whatever, but there's been very specific, like they're saying the non-natural slaughter or death of animals. There's a very specific, so you can't say, well, on, I think it's fine. it's pretty black and white, you know. So
Yes.
they're giving very specific examples of what they actually mean by
Yep.
animal cruelty and gore, and so you're not left trying to get around things. It's saying you're going to get ejected from our platform if this is what you post. So just, fair warning, um, and you know the consequences. So don't be, yeah. There's not a lot of recourse.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so I
and it
like
looks
that.
also yes, and there's also a what they're showing here, helping
Oh
creators
yeah,
understand their account status. So you've got a kind of traffic light system. You know what's going on with your account because
yeah.
this
You're
is the
about to be
issue.
blocked or whatever.
Yeah. So this is the issue with the YouTubes and the Facebooks, isn't it? And Twitter historically, I don't know if it's still going to be the case, is that it's like, well, my account's gone, there's no recourse, I don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Well, here it looks like they're going to be showing you exactly what went wrong. TikTok, I think, in principle at least, is quickly becoming my favorite social media. It's like they just seem to be doing sensible, nice things. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the others are all mired. Maybe Twitter will come along in second place and maybe LinkedIn in third place. But the others just seem to be doing not particularly nice things, and not fixing
Yeah,
them
and
until they're actually broken, until they
yeah,
actually
and I think
find themselves in court.
right, yeah. I mean, there's definitely alongside accountability is transparency. So the same that they're going to notify creators if you're on the verge of having your account permanently removed. So if that they understand, but like um, it's a no-brainer that you. I think they're just saying like these things are not okay. We've put that in writing in detail and whatever, um, and it's a change. So it looks like they're increasing their security on that. Um, and I mean, this is the time once as they're building audience, and that's the time when you might say like our focus is on growth, and now this will have the effect of having a focus on quality, I would think, and also deliver a different type of growth.
I think I just think it's a really good thing. I think if you have to be in some way exploiting children to grow, then I don't think that's growth that's worth happening. I think honestly, if there was an instance of any kind of child abuse or child exploitation on any of the platforms, they should just be immediately taken down, and then like go round Mark Zuckerberg's house and tell him to switch his toy off until it's not there anymore. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I think it should work. And the thing is, I think what this alludes to is the fact that actually people at that level maybe don't prioritize these things, but people at our level do. Do you know what I mean? Like the normal person walking around is
Mm.
disgusted by this stuff, and doesn't tolerate this stuff. So it feels to me like TikTok are much closer to understanding how people actually feel about these
Yeah,
things, maybe than some of those other platforms. Good story,
yeah,
good news story as well. A social media platform behaving responsibly without having been taken to court first.
yeah. It boggles the mind, doesn't it?
It boggles the mind, yeah. And I've had a few conversations with people on the talk marketing thing who are specifically performance marketing people. So they are running ads on all these platforms. And they say TikTok is absolutely kicking everybody else in terms of performance. So it looks to me like TikTok all the way around is a perfectly lovely social media platform. Long may it
Yeah,
continue.
that's it. Long may it continue. Hurrah!
Long may it continue. Okay,
Do 10
cool.
minutes.
And the time is, we did that story with 30 seconds to spare.
There you go. So
Good.
it's
So I'm
probably
starting
not.
the clock again to go. This will be a
Yeah.
short story as
All
well.
right. Go on, hit it.
So this story is about, it comes from, I will show you. It comes from here, Press Gazette, the future of media. How Google has downgraded importance of news websites in search results. So, data from SEO expert Systrix reveals big losses for news domains in organic search in 2022. News websites saw a significant drop in their prominence on Google search results in 2022, according to data from independent search visibility performance company Systrix. They have looked at so many news sites. We can go straight to the tables. So
Ooh.
this is proper news services like maybe not My London News, Irish Times, iNews, Entertainment Daily, The Economist, The Sun, Al
Jeez.
Jazeera. These are
Yes.
the biggest drops. So the Irish Times, the New York Times, the Guardian, for example, is down 36%. So this isn't down 36% necessarily on traffic, but this is down 36% on
Yeah.
actual rankings. And then they've got the most search visibility is the Guardian, which fell from by 125, whatever that metric is. The Sun, the New York Times, the Daily Mail, the Independent.co.uk. The biggest gains were the Northern Echo, the Irish Mirror, the Daily Star, the Leicester
Oh my
Mercury,
God.
RT.com. Now, what it doesn't tell us is why. So Forbes is up, Daily Star is up in terms of search visibility. So this is down in terms of search visibility. I know this is up in terms of search relative search visibility, and this is up. So Forbes, the Daily Star, the Irish Mirror. It's a little bit like my new thing's going to be, thinking out loud. There aren't really any conclusions here. Like, it doesn't tell us why. But we know that Google has been preferencing, is that the word? Prioritizing news, like current content. So it's kind of interesting to see that some of these news services are down. It doesn't tell us what they've been replaced with. It doesn't tell us what the motivation might be. It doesn't really tell us anything more about that other than the fact that it's down. So I suppose the news for marketeers is maybe focus less on the news if you want to be appearing in the search results. Like, we're talking about the news. So is that going to be as useful anymore? I don't really care. If 2 people find it and take use of it, and that'll be good for me. But it's just kind of interesting to remember that Google is deciding what they want to rank and when they want to rank it and how they want to rank it and all of those things. And I suppose marketers need to keep an eye on that to see how their content is going to be prioritized, ranked, or otherwise. What do you think?
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I wonder because it doesn't, but it would be interesting to look at visitors side by side to see whether visibility and visitors are dropping together.
Yes.
Um, because, like, if your strategy, say at the Guardian, is XYZ, your visibility dropping in Google might not actually have a bearing on your visitors because you've got some great strategy. And it'd be interesting to compare how well these platforms are doing and how important is visibility if your brand is strong, for example, on that basis. Um, or if you've got other strategies for driving visitors. So yeah, that would be very interesting to cross check with the those most affected. And did I notice there's some have gone up
Some have gone up,
or
but I think the overall is that it's down. So those that have gone up, those that have had the biggest gains, the Northern Echo, this is UK centric. So the Northern Echo, that's a north of England type thing. The Irish Mirror, the Daily Star, the Leicester Mercury, so that will be local news. RT.com, MSN.com. I mean, it is fascinating because it doesn't tell us, like, there's more questions than answers in this news piece.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell us what it's been replaced with. Like, has it been replaced with local news? Has it been replaced with independent news? What has it been replaced? What's driving the decision? Is it that people are taking less value from these traditional news sites, and so they're not performing in terms of getting the clicks and holding the visitors? So there are more questions than answers, but overall it would seem that Google is no longer prioritizing the news, and it was for a period of time. You wanted to have the most relevant thing on your website, or the most current thing on your website, because Google would prioritize that, but now not anymore. and we don't know why.
Yeah, I think, and it'd be interesting to see if that sustains for a
Mm.
period of time.
Well, they say
It
this is a
does
decline that has been going on for a number of years. So it would seem that this is a
gradual
strategic
funding of,
direction.
yeah.
Oh,
Interesting to see for those who grew, what have they been talking about? What's their current strategy been?
yes.
In general, what stories are they covering that, and has that, it's the reverse trends. I'd be interested, it'd be worth checking out their, the last year or the last few months of what their focus has been as publications,
Yeah.
and side by side with those who've dropped the most, and see what are they talking about, because that potentially also indicates what users are most interested in, potentially, but
Yeah.
also what Google's most interested in as an algorithm, um, that we could learn from. And of course, they change the algorithm all the time. So just when you've got your act together and you suddenly the Irish Post or whatever it was, they've changed it back. Yeah, so it is famously nebulous.
Yes. And the interesting thing is, then, if there's a natural justice to this, which they kind of always want to suggest there is, then it would suggest that these new services that are on the climb are actually doing a better job, being more interesting, attracting more traffic, holding more traffic, doing all of that stuff, and those at the top are not. So it's interesting to see that RT are on the climb. For example, they are the one, two, three, four, fifth biggest gainer. That's Russian something, isn't it? Russian,
Russia
whatever that is.
Today?
Russia
Yeah.
Today is what it is, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Just interesting to know that, like you say, they change the algorithm 300 times a year. There's typically something major happens on the algorithm once a year. Google are deciding what they want to promote and what they don't want to promote on their search engine, and so marketers have to be aware of that. So maybe invest less in putting up news
Yeah.
on your
Good.
websites.
Nice and
Good.
simple. Love it.
And the good news on that story is that we nailed that story with 2 minutes to spare. We're
Smashing it.
getting good at this. So that takes us beautifully then to story number 3. Your story number 3 is the Instagram U-turn on not being like TikTok. Is that what they're saying? What's going on, Melanie Farmer?
Yeah, look, so Instagram were basically seeing the rise of TikTok, and as a result, they started to shift. Like, everything's video. Video is the future. So they started to upgrade and change, adapt their platform to be more video friendly, and they got a big backlash from some of um, their big users, Kim Kardashian and so forth, saying we like these, we want images. If I wanted video content, I'd go to the video place, but I'm here because it's an image platform.
Yes.
So go back to what you were, please. And so, so they had to say, terribly sorry, we're going to continue supporting photos. But I think it is interesting that there's an execution in strategy lesson here, where if anyone was thinking, right, I've noticed that there's a lot of video, I better jump on board, that's not necessarily true. So, when you're executing any kind of marketing strategy, it's understanding how you're going to win over others. And while video might be the way, there might be merit in exploring other things. And you're actually asking your customers, which is a very Martin thing to do, like, see what do they enjoy and what were they most likely to, um, to value. And rather than just making a change because and I will say this about Instagram, it's a classic response where you have created a category called instant postcards, and then you're noticing someone over here entering your category in a way but with something different, and then you decide you're going to now compete in the category that TikTok created, rather than create your own category and stay as the leader of that category. So you
Yes.
start to become a follower, not a leader, and that had a negative impact here. And they in their defence stopped what they were doing and said, we should rethink this and understand who we're serving and why they are using us. Um, so yeah, it's an interesting one for any of us thinking that we should go with what's popular. That's not necessarily true. Focus on value and understand your customer, and don't be distracted by shiny things, which is like trends of other companies. I think
Yes.
is the message I would say from that.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this a number of times last year, didn't we? That they were moving away from what they were good at and chasing TikTok. Like they're saying here, Tony Tone. I would imagine Tony Tone is famous. She doesn't like it. The Kardashians don't like it.
Ah,
Like
yeah.
nobody liked it. So the thing is, I think you're right. You think about it as categories. Instagram were winning the photo category. They were doing okay with the stories category.
They created it. They're
What's that?
really well, Pinterest and Instagram. They were the creators of the category. No one was
Instagram
doing that.
created it long before Pinterest even came along. So yeah, just
Yeah.
own your category, I think, and don't be distracted by the latest shiny thing. But this also goes, if there's a theme emerging today, it's like, what is the point of being in business? Is the point of being in business to make the most money in your area, or is the point actually to deliver value to your customers? Because if you're delivering customer value to your customers, you shouldn't be moving every 20 minutes just because somebody else comes along with something that's a bit
Right.
different or a bit better. Okay,
Yeah.
32 minutes. We're going to have to stop now because we've got a little visitor coming. Oh, he's not bothered about us. He's gone. Okay, good. But he's going to put the TV Okay, let's see how that goes. Okay, yeah, cool. So I think this is the ugliness, I think, of these platforms. Facebook in particular is like, how dare anyone try and be in this market with us and take a penny away from us? Do you know what I mean? And what's interesting is that my story is going to say something different about this, which Mark Zuckerberg said apparently. But I think, yeah, own your category. That has to be and don't, just because somebody else comes along and they're also making money from an app, doesn't mean that you have to rewrite the rule book. Like, people have hated this because I'm interested in photography. I follow photography type people. They hate it. The models hate it. Everyone hates it. Instagram is about images. It should always be about images. Just because someone comes along who's doing something different doesn't mean that you should rewrite your whole rule book. That's what I would say. Good.
Yeah, so they've got to be schooled. And last point on that is well, from me anyway, is that they got a backlash saying I don't want video, but I do want to see images of that my friends post, not all these other bloody rubbish.
Okay, cool. So, Instagram learning the lesson. Don't chase the quick buck. That's the lesson. Don't change everything to chase the quick buck. That's a lesson for everyone who's in business. Okay, cool. So that takes us then. The news on the time with that is, I didn't set the timer, so we've got no idea how we performed against the time for that story. I'm setting the timer for story number 4. Story number 4 is Facebook is back. So, tools are, I'm also on the BBC. Facebook, quarter of global population use site daily in December. The number of people using Facebook daily grew to an average of 2 billion in December, about a quarter of the world's population. The bigger than expected growth helped drive new optimism about the company, which has been under pressure as its costs rise and advertising sales slump. Shares in parent company Meta surged by more than 15% after Mark Zuckerberg declared 2023 the year of efficiency. He said, "We're in a different environment now," pointing to the firm's revenue, which declined in 2022 for the first time in its history after years of double-digit growth. "We don't anticipate that's going to continue, but I also don't think it's going to go back to the way it was before." Meta, which also owns Instagram, etc., have cut 11,000 jobs, 13% of their staff. The firm said those moves cost it $4.6 billion, but it's still brought in $23 billion in profit. That's what they're saying. And somewhere here, he says it's because, here, Mr. Zuckerberg said the company was making progress with its video product Reels, which it has been focused on as it faces off with rivals such as TikTok, which have gained traction, especially among younger users. What this means for Mark Zuckerberg is that his wealth increased by $12 billion on Thursday. That must have been like a week last Thursday. Interestingly, I don't think my wealth increased by $12 billion a week last Thursday or anything like. So it looks like Facebook is back. How do we feel about that?
Well, putting aside the 12 billion cash wealth, maybe your wealth increased in happiness and joy. So there you are. What do we feel about that? I mean,
Do we
I
believe it,
am
firstly?
very
Do we
cynical.
believe
I am cynical about that data, um, and what what's behind it. This I feel like it could be misleading. That's all I think. I
I
don't
don't
know
think a
that.
quarter of the people I know are on Facebook any longer. Like, I get messages now. It will be 3 weeks before I see a message on Facebook because I am never there. That obviously isn't the most scientific study, but all I'm saying is that my lived experience is quite different from what they're reporting here. I don't believe a quarter of the population of the world are on Facebook daily. Like, if they were to say maybe logged in once a month, that would be a different thing. Maybe it just goes to show what we all know is that it's all just stories. So if this story is in the ascendancy, then the share price will go up. If other stories are in the ascendancy, then maybe the share price will go down. I don't know. But like I said before, I just feel like we spent enough time bashing Facebook last year. If they have managed to turn the tide, I mean, this is exactly, he's saying it's because Reels is working. Your story is saying Reels is going away because it's not working. It's all just stories.
I wonder about Facebook Marketplace, which is kind of your eBay equivalent, sort of. Um, what people are doing on Facebook is my question, because I know that I use Facebook Marketplace more than I use Facebook to interact
100%.
with my friends, and that's partly because my friends are like every 10th post, and even though I continually go in there turning ads off and this and that and the other, somehow or other there's a loophole. But I need to sort that out, and I end up with all these ads. But I am, however, finding that it's very good for local, um, sourcing of marketplace stuff. That
Yeah.
if I, yeah, rather than buy new, which is always nice.
Yes. So 100%, I would say that. The only time I go to Facebook these days is if I want to go to Facebook, go to Marketplace and see if there's something that I want to buy, like if I'm looking for something specifically to buy. But it seems counterintuitive. They're not leaning into the thing that you and I are finding useful. They're rather looking at, oh, these guys are doing better than us over here. Let's do what they do. Do you know what I mean? So it seems like, we talk about data-based decision making and all these things, and these are supposed to be the leaders in it, and we talk about businesses being nice, but it just feels like they don't do anything that they say, and so they struggle. But now they've
Oh,
managed to get a good news story out. What's that?
yeah. I wonder if they are grappling with the challenge of being too big. When you get to this size, you've got so much data that your data could prove everything in every direction, depending on how you slice and dice that data. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if
Yeah.
there's a point where you just decay because there's a journey. But saying that, there's the reinvent yourself lesson, and I think there's, they have made some changes, and there is nothing like downsizing to regroup and say, what are we doing, and look at what's left of our data now, and look at our
Yes.
data differently and make different decisions about who's working for you and things like that. So I think they've made some good decisions about regrouping, and yeah, so that might be starting to pay off. I mean, the world is changing anyway. We're all out and about again, so we're probably posting a lot more and reading. We're getting involved in travel and this and that. So I do wonder if they could do nothing and grow because the world is not asleep anymore.
Yeah.
That could be
Well,
something that's happening anywhere. Let's see.
I think it's interesting, but I think, yeah, I mean, good for them. If it's true, if it's happening, good for them. But what do I just think? I just think, um, yeah, just be a nicer business. Like, deliver value for your customers. Don't sell their data. Don't sell the data of children. maybe it's not difficult. But the thing is, if you're a big company, you can't innovate. And the thing is about being a data company like they are, they're making their money from the data. They should have learned really how to make it make sense, for them also. And maybe they have now, because it seems like they're on their way back, or they're not. Either they're becoming more like TikTok, or they're not becoming like TikTok at all. Who on earth knows? The
That'd be
good
nice.
news is that we only spent 7 minutes talking about the recovery of Facebook. So we are nailing this today. We are nailing this. Okay, cool. Which brings us then to our final story of the week, which is a good news story about a Singapore startup raking in almost $3 million in sales in 2 months, all through Facebook. This is Singapore dollars, which is, there's about 2 Singapore dollars typically to the pound. So it's about 1.5 million pounds in sales, maybe 3 million Australian dollars in sales, something like that. What's going on with this company, Madada?
Yeah, look, I think they are talking about how to make money through live streaming. So, um, live streaming is more and more becoming a effectively a place where you're live endorsing stuff, and people are making buying decisions at the moment of listening to you live stream. So a little bit like pay TV, where you'd be watching the jewelry channel at 2 in the morning or whatever, because that's what they back in the day. But this is sort of saying, tune into our live stream. We're going to be walking you through X, Y, Z, and they understood that it was more than information or the e-commerce side of things. They realized that they had to be entertaining. And so this company has done, what have they got? More than 5 million live stream views. They've got more than 28,000 followers in a very short space of time. And now they've got 30 employees, and look at them go. So it's about, I think, 11 million US is what they're saying towards the bottom. Um, so they're kind of on the radar, I suppose, for how to do it right. And they're talking about human interaction and building trust. And we do like humans, and when it's live, that's a very different thing to a recorded thing. So if people were live with us now chatting, there's something quite human about that, um, and they just realise that this is where the magic happens, is that interaction.
Excellent. This does seem to be, it says here, this is the future. Like, this is typically Singaporean Singaporean modesty, where their CEO and co-founder, where's it gone? CEO and co-founder. You need to plan your show, because this is not just selling, this is infotainment. Entertainment needs to be high, and that can be very challenging, because sometimes even I myself run out of ideas.
God forbid. No,
I
surely not.
think that's very Singaporean kind of modesty there. I think this is. I was talking to, who was I talking to? Kat Sale. She runs the House of Performance, um, and she was singing the praises of TikTok. And she says this live selling thing is like a real thing. So you can tune in any time of the day or night, and you'll find someone selling wigs, for example, and they're saying like, "Show me that wig on hook number 5, whatever, and model it for me," and blah blah blah. So I think this. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think this kind of community live selling thing is really picking up. And yeah, so I mean, it always went on, didn't it? Like, people were doing tarot readings and stuff on Facebook. I remember at one point in Facebook
Yeah,
chats
plenty of
or
psychic
Facebook.
readings going around, all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Psychic readings, and then just tune in, because these people are just live,
Yes.
and of course they're muting you, so you just all the likes and hates and whatnot. But the ability to read comments, take questions, do product demos, and so forth, and say we're going to be live at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, and tune in and ask us stuff, ask me anything. There's those sorts of segments, um, and there's quite a few, I guess, celebrity kind of characters who offer services, professional services, so forth, different types of services, and they are sort of saying, "I'm having a coffee. I'm off to Starbucks. How's everyone doing?" And so it's sort of a feeling that that's your friend, I think, and that they're real, and that's building trust. These guys have sort of got a bit more than that, a bit more formal, like it's a studio, it's a presentation, it's a panel, but it's a conversation as opposed to a presentation.
Yes.
And then through that, you build a bit of trust, and they understand. I don't know if they break into karaoke or what, but but they understand that it has to be entertaining, not just
Yeah.
features of a product, for example.
I think what's nice about it is, well, what's interesting is this news story. You think they would give us a clip so we get a sense of what it is that they're doing. But what's nice about it is it's that sense of interaction again, isn't it? Which is nice, and that sense also of empowerment is like wherever you are in the world, you can leverage these platforms to improve your life. They've had more than 5 million live stream views. It's still a volume thing, isn't it? It'd be interesting to see what they look like. Did their first Facebook live stream? There's a link there. Is it just going to take me to
I mean,
Facebook?
talk about feedback though. I mean, if you're doing live streaming and taking comments and reading them out, well, one of the big lessons in it is having somebody or more than one, a team, very closely monitoring and interacting with that audience so that you don't lose them. Because I know that if I've been in those things and I type something and then it just disappears and nobody responds at all, which is going to happen when you have such a volume. But saying, look, if you're the presenter, saying, look, a lot of people are saying X, Y, Z, a lot of people are asking X, Y, Z. Thank you so much, Brenda from Sydney, who says such and such. So some level of interaction that makes it feel like you're in a relationship with these people.
Yeah.
And even it's reversing and saying, what do you guys think about this? Oh, well, Sonia says this and such says that. Thanks for the likes and stars and all those things. But I like the fact that, I can see why it's more powerful than presenting in a webinar and things like that, which are really silencing the audience. You are monitoring and controlling what the audience hears, but you are encouraging live interaction. And
Yes.
they are kind of clued into the fact that it needs to be entertaining, not just, here we are and we offer accounting services which are terribly good. Ask me about tax. Instead, they probably, if you were in that category and you're watching us today talk about this, you want to be thinking like, who you really want to hear who's really effed up in the tax department. Tell us a really juicy story, and what went wrong, and maybe how you fixed it. But we love it when someone went to jail, and we did get a story going. It's entertainment, so that for me is the lesson.
Yes, 100%. I'm with you. And it's good to see businesses coming from nowhere and going somewhere really quickly. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems like that is something that used to happen a lot in the noughties. You see businesses come from nowhere and do really well by leveraging these platforms. And it felt a little bit to me like maybe that opportunity had gone away, but these guys are proving otherwise. Good.
Yeah,
Excellent. And the good news about that is that we managed to expire that story in 8 minutes.
we just
We're really good at this. We just need to focus on being efficient. That's what we need to do. Okay, super cool. So it has been quite an interesting couple of weeks, hasn't it, really? Maybe it's just me not engaging enough.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. It's because
An
I'm
interesting
busy.
time.
Why am I busy? It's a shock to the system being busy.
Ironically for me, looking at today's stories, for me the last couple of story sessions we've had. On the one hand, computers are taking over the world with artificial intelligence, and in another way, human interaction is more important than ever. So it's quite interesting times for the world of marketing.
100%. And I think we've got to find a balance at some point because, like, since we looked at the AI, like I told you before, like ChatGPT, like my position has solidified. Like you do 40 or 50 kind of requests and you start to see the same things coming back. So you're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
have
right.
to be a very clever teacher to work out what's been written by AI and what's not. And the other thing that I've realized since then is if you put in, tell me about this thing and show sources, then it actually refers the sites that it's plagiarizing and then you can actually use it in an academic thing. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, yeah, but what I'm seeing everywhere now is make $10,000 a month with ChatGPT. I don't know why it's always $10,000 a month. It's always $10,000 a month. But I don't think it's going to go that
I
way
think stick
particularly.
that
I
in
think
ChatGPT and ask them why is it $10,000 a month, and see if it tells you. Oh well, Martin, as you can see,
that's
tell
the
me
magic
your
number.
source. Yeah, that's the magic number.
That's the
Everything's
magic
10,000.
number.
10,000 steps. Remember for health.
10,000 hours of
$10,000
experience.
7 hours. ten
Yep.
thousand dollars a month. So that's probably why. But I'm
And
sure it will.
three is the other magic number.
Oh yeah, yeah. You need 3 pillars. Everything 3,
Yeah. And then the
not
soul.
4.
Remember De La
Oh,
Soul?
4. That's
3
very
is the
nice.
magic number.
Yeah, there you are. If there's a song written about it, it must be true.
Yes, 100% must be true. Okay, super cool. So we did the news. I think we did it in record time. How long have we been here? Are we been 52 minutes? It is a record. I think if we
Good,
hadn't
good.
been running a clock, we'd still be here in 25 minutes' time.
Right.
But we're
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add at this juncture?
No, I'm good. I don't think I can offer any wisdom from here. I've covered it.
Okay, fantastic.
Good
Well, let's
luck to
hope
you
interesting
all.
things happen in the next couple of weeks. And I will see you here then. I'm going to put something in your diary right now.
Perfect.
You're an absolute legend, Melanie Farmer. Thank you for being here again.
Signing out.
Thank you for taking the time to check out this episode of Marketing News. If you found this interesting and useful, then YouTube thinks you're also going to enjoy this, and this is the latest thing that we've produced. If you haven't yet, and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe, and comment, get involved, that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic, epic journey.